show off for daddy, yeah. She a cosplay, shorty, ooh. Man, work that body, yeah. She a cosplay baddie, yeah. She gon' show off for daddy, yeah.
What's up, humanity? I'm Spacebug. This is Magic for the Masses, and today I'm interviewing Dean of Divine Lyran Consciousness. What's the name of the album?
Little Dean.
Lil Dean is the name of the album, coming out
August 8th.
and we're going to talk about it because it's very exciting for me. You consider yourself a starseed, correct?
You? Yes, I sure am.
Would you mind just briefly explaining that to the people, because it's a very, well, it's commonly used, I don't think commonly understood term.
Well, as I believe it, or as I've interpreted it, you have aspects of your soul that you embody in this lifetime. They are multidimensional aspects. They can be aspects of yourself that are from the past, and they can be from another star system, another
sun.
You know, there's really a lot of components to it, but in that sense, Starseed, yeah, I call myself like a Lyran Starseed. I associate with like Sirius and Aquarian Starseed as well.
I think that's awesome. How long have you been making music?
20 years.
When did you get started?
I actually got started when I was around 19, and I had a breakup, so I was like, I want to make a song. It's like, and it was really a really awkward song. I took like a beat from Sage Francis at the time. I think it was like Makeshift Patriot. I think that was like the song that I took. It was kind of like a popular like song about like 9/11, and I like took this little part of the beat that I found and I looped it and I wrote this little song, and that was kind of like my start.
You realized you were fucking amazing at it.
I was like, I have a really broken heart. I need to make a song. And the song was called "Nice Guys Finish Last."
You've since abandoned the nice guy energy, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, in some cases, I would say, you know, I just get a little frustrated here and there. But I try to be kind to people in the, you know, in real life. Online, I could get a little fiery. But, you know,
nothing wrong with that.
In real life, I have a lot of respect for people. I try to, as long as they keep it for me.
I think the most fascinating thing about your music is that you use specific frequencies. Can you explain why you do that and how they affect the brain?
Well, I use a couple different tunings, and like I use like 528 hertz tuning, which is like love tuning. And basically what that means is I take A, which is normally like in 440, and I change the pitch to 444 hertz, and then that shifts C up to 528 hertz, and then that also creates other notes that are in that scale that are also in line with like the chakras. So 528 hertz is like your solar plexus.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, so I incorporate that. I use 432 in this new project as well, and then I do binaural beats as well too. So it kind of
incredibly complicated. I feel like not something every producer can do.
I mean, honestly, it feels, I don't know. Like it kind of took me a while to understand how to incorporate it. Like I was playing around with it for, you know, the past like maybe 5 or 8 years, kind of trying to figure out what to do with it, and listening to a lot of like meditation or like 528 hertz and other kind of like frequency music. But then I wanted to kind of like incorporate that into like beats. And then also like now I'm trying to like incorporate it into like pop music. Like I just made everything into like 432 um, on the track, and like I tuned my vocals to that too.
Oh, that's
So,
brilliant.
yeah, I did everything to 432 hertz on this one. So it's pretty cool. I like it.
I think
It sounds nice.
it does sound good. It sounds catchy too.
Yeah, I want to make kind music. I don't want to make like aggressive music, but at the same time, like I feel like sometimes if you're not aggressive, like people just kind of
Don't take
think,
notice.
yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't get anyone to think that I was dealing with anything until I started to be like, I fucking hate people. Like, even though I don't really like, I was just expressing that part of me that sometimes I feel frustrated in that aspect that
I think it's possible to hate people as a whole, but respect the individual.
I don't really hate people. I just say it. It's kind of like performance art for me. It takes me to like the really self-deprecating dark artists, like a lot of metal and like punk artists that are kind of you don't really see that a lot, but there's like this natural gravitation towards it. Like, is it a spectacle? And I kind of like, I'm like, I don't really like acting like that, but I realize those are the people that I grew up like really admiring.
Yeah. Same.
And then as I grew up as an artist too, like the people that I liked being underground artists, I never thought about what was going into the pain of their music.
Right.
Like, and you just are like, I like this. And then you're like, how? And then you just realize, like, a lot of times art thrives on, like, that emotion. That's what drove me a lot of times was, like, a lot of pain and things like that. But I'm like, I don't want to make that kind of music for people. Like, it just feels sad. Like, there's already enough of that.
Well, that's, I think, a really respectable way to look at it. If we've lived through all that stuff, why would you want to spread it?
Yeah, like that's one thing is like about songs and stuff is like I've always felt like I have made those sad songs, but when it becomes really personal, so it's like really not fun to relive sad stuff. Like I totally understand it, but at the same time, like it's not really what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I've got my Ball Your Eyes Out playlist, but I don't listen to it often.
I have those moments where I loop stuff and I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand why I like this. I did that with Sage Francis for sure. During some periods of my life. And one time I met him at a show and I was like, I don't know. I was really taken back by it. Like he gave off the energy that I've been giving off like lately. He was like, I just don't like it.
Well, I respect that too.
I love everyone. Everyone that I interact with generally is pretty nice, and I feel like I just make up an imaginary person to be mad at. That I'm like, this isn't happening, whatever this is, and I just project that anger, which is probably just, myself. I'm like, I'm mad at myself. Like self-love, you change yourself through self-love.
You make the music that has a love frequency, but you don't always live with it.
Exactly.
You're putting all the love into the music.
And that's kind of why, like, I went from being divine Lyran consciousness. I filtered myself a lot, and I still, I do, like, with my YouTube and stuff, because I don't want to put a lot of negative stuff on there or like my personal filter. Like I know what the Lyrans are and I know what they've done for me. So it's like I don't really like that's why I was like, I need to be Little Dean, but at the same time, a lot of the concepts and things that I put into this project are related to Ascension and Starseed and esoteric practices and everything that I know about that I tried to make it so that people could consume it on a regular level. And if no one knows who I am, they're just like, this is another person. And it's been really hard because what I did was I just assumed that a lot of people were like, divine Lyran consciousness, this guy, and they don't really know who I am at all. So I'm like, I just get lumped in with that. So I'm like, I gotta really separate, and that was guidance from them too.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like,
going to ask you if you didn't mind elaborating partially on how your guides or your connection to the spirit world or whatever you call it, because we all have different words for it, how that
yeah,
has affected your music.
oh, for sure. Like, because like I've been making music for so long and studying and seeking the truth, like why we're here, and that's influenced a lot of my projects throughout my like entire music career. Is like these esoteric concepts. Like in 2006, I was like making a project called 2012, and I had really no idea what any of the stuff was about the Mayans or any of the precession of the equinox, any of the stuff. But I was like, I like this, you know, I was like, this is interesting to me. So it was like precursoring to me. I would just keep on doing it. You know, I made a project called Illumarian 2025, like probably 12 years ago when I first got into like Lumarian crystals, and I was really drawn into the energy of, and that's when I got into like really love light back in the day. But I still have a lot of darkness, and I was like, I'm not always walking the path that people say that you you know, so it's like people just are like, you're fuck you. You know, that's how I end up acting to people when they judge me, is I just get like my dark side comes out a lot of times to protect myself. And it's like, okay, like I get it, like I don't want to be like that, but you know, it is what it is. But that it's played a lot of like, you know, influence in what I'm doing now. Like I was doing Divine Lion Consciousness, and I released probably over 20, 30 tracks the past 2 years. And I haven't been promoting them really. You know, I've been using Instagram, and I would do light language stuff. I was doing light language music when I first made it, which all like I would do all the stuff in light language, and that was really fun.
That's
And
an incredible accomplishment.
yeah, like I was like, I think I might be the first light language musician or rapper or something, you
Look,
know?
okay, I know a lot of producers, and I've been pushing the idea on people to use binaural beats and like frequencies that help with triggering the brain, and nobody listens to me. And then I find out you're doing it, and that's why one of the reasons why I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. I have to have a chance to actually sit down and talk to him. He's doing exactly what should be done. Why not use
Yeah.
all the tools at your disposal?
Oh, for sure. And that's why I still make meditation tones and release them onto YouTube and to my Spotify and everything.
Which will all be linked below the video.
Yeah, so I'm still doing all of that. It's just that I have like, you know, I just want to branch out into making English music again. Like I've been making it before, but I want to like bring in spiritual aspects, not like religious or dogmatic, but like, you know, one song that I have is like the Soul Not From Planet, Soul Not From Earth song. And you know, those are the kind of songs that I want to make that they're not like super happy or anything, but they sound cool, and they are like make
have a valuable message.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff on this this new project is really lyric wise. It's not a lot. It's more minimal. It's centered around concepts to draw you in with like hooks.
I think I felt that in the project for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And like instead of, because you can hear it for sure. Like I made it like that. I made it short for people to be able to replay it again, because that's what people like to do.
Yeah. It's catchy, but it's got a good message.
Yeah, and like I just I wanted to make a project. Like I didn't really think about making this project when I did it. I just started making stuff in a new way, in a very simple way too. Like I was picking out synths and just tuning them. Like I was picking out like a symphonic synth with like violins and like really just like a couple instruments. I would tune it to 432, and I would just do like a chord progression, like very open sounding. And then I would put like 808s on it, and I used the 808 drums just throughout the whole thing, and I just filtered it so it sounded a little different on each track. But I used the same exact kit on everything, and I wanted to approach everything in a really like minimal approach and not get overwhelmed by a lot of extra sounds. And using my modular, I used a little bit, but not a lot. I just used basically all inbox stuff, and it made it really easy to produce.
And it doesn't sound like anything suffered from not having extra sound. It sounds very, I don't know if clear or pure or smooth is the right word, but it sounds very put together, even though you're saying it was less to add.
Yeah, no, I would layer sounds on what I built, but I didn't try to make it really complicated so that way my vocals could be on there. And then, like, instead of rapping, I wanted to make like choruses and hooks and like sing. And I did a lot of like singing that I don't know, like Keys to the Sky. Like
I like the singing in Keys to the Sky. I thought it was great.
Honestly, when I heard it, I was here in the studio and I made this beat. Like I looped it up, and it was like the 8th or 9th track I had made, and I was kind of just like randomly playing around with this new synth, and that was one that I just got, and I just put it on there, and I like did auto tune, and I just like heard something, and I just like I was like Keys to the Sky, and like the synth was called like Keys Sky or something like that. So I was like, oh, Keys to the Sky, and then
Talk about signs.
And then I just freestyled like the rest of the stuff, like kind of, Keys to the Sky. It's like open up your mind, like it's all inside.
Yeah, I like that.
It's anyways, but yeah, it's like I know it's kind of like polarizing with its pitches. But some of the other stuff I did kind of like more experimental, higher pitches, like falsettos. And then I did some stuff like Cosplay Shorty that's like just what I call my customer service voice. It's just like very...
It's catchy as fuck. Like after I was listening to the album, I walked away to get ready for work, and then that's the song that was like keeping on going in my head. It's pretty catchy.
That's the one that I made like at the very end of the project, where I was like, I need to make a song that I can, I wanted to start with Keys to the Sky because it was really new. I love the way it sounds like in the car. It sounds just like all the beats and stuff. But then I don't know, I put it out on TikTok, and I don't even have TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's a little bit by the younger society.
I don't know. Anyways, like I'm just trying to use it, and I'm like, I don't really like it, to be honest. I'm like, I
like it. I like the message, and I think that the idea of bringing something to the table that has, I wouldn't really call it a pop sound because I'm just anti-pop in my head, but I can respect that it's got a digestible sound for people, but a message that is exactly what they need. It's the most vital thing that they can hear in the world. And that's in part one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on my channel, is to say, look, somebody check this out because this will help you. Like, people need this energy. I really believe that they do.
Yeah, that's kind of why, like, on the other song that I was talking about, the Soul Not From Planet song, like that song was one I wanted to make something that you think about. Like, I want people to think about like the earth. Like, I think about what happens, and it's like no one really cares about. It's like like I feel like it's just kind of like I wish the best for people. That's why I say like I respect everyone when I get in their energy, and like I genuinely want the best for people.
Right.
But I get frustrated with how people consume.
Keep walking into walls.
That's what and sometimes I feel like I talk to myself a lot of times when I am on social media with things. So it's like, I'm like, but it's not a big deal. Like, I've learned, like, I've done sales a lot, and this is selling, but I've never really wanted to sell my music. Like, I've never been like, I don't know. I just never wanted to do it. I don't like.
You're not making it to push it.
I haven't, but I feel like I am now. Like, this project, that's why I'm rebranding my artist name. I'm trying to make it more into more people. That's what I'm trying to do. So that's why I'm trying to establish songs like Cosplay Shorty that have,
which is the first single, which is out.
First single, yeah, it's like it's just a silly fun song
Yeah.
about cosplay shorties. You know, like it's like a fun beat. It's like symphonic. Like it reminds me of like Angels. You know, I didn't really copy any genres. Like I don't really know what genre it is. Like my buddy says that it's like cloud rap. He keeps saying like this is cloud rap. I'm like, okay. But I've heard, you know, I hear cloud rap and it's like I don't use exactly the same stuff, you know. So it's like finding how to market things to me is kind of new as well because I don't ever think about that before I create.
Starseed binaural beats. That's what we're gonna tag this video. People need to get on it.
Yeah, no, that's like one of those things that you mentioned is just using Lyran, you know, and understanding how organic search algorithms work and everything with YouTube. And like you're even saying, like in this before, it's like thumbnails can go so far and it can help you, you know, and just changing up little stuff like that can, you know, do things inside of the system. And it can,
Cosplay shotties, they also kind of help you push the algorithm a little bit because we know everybody's on that.
I'm certainly like looking for those in like real time to do some content with. So I, you know, like I'm hoping that I can go up to this anime convention. It's in Denver, and I'm gonna do
Yes.
some video there. I'm gonna dress up like Mario Brothers or something silly like that. I don't know.
Awesome. Do you watch a lot of anime? Or are you fronting on my culture now?
I would say, yeah, I do watch it. You know, like I'm not like crazy about it. I love like Initial D. That's like one of my favorite. That's what I was really into when I was a kid. Like, it's like a racing one.
Yeah.
It's like a racing anime that was really popular in like China back in the day. And then I really like Cowboy Bebop, the animation. You know,
That's an exceptional.
that's like my favorite one too. I watched that. I like Akira the movie.
Oh yeah, dude.
I really love that movie.
Classic.
You know, I'm not like a super ultra niche person.
Weeb.
But I love the look of cosplay. Like I totally understand and I appreciate it. So I'm like I get it.
I'll siphon the bitches your way, don't worry.
I appreciate you on that. That's you said it, not me. That's what I like I said, I have some potential things in the works, you know, for this video, for this song too. So yeah.
While we're on the subject of Akira, I think another thing that attracts me to your music or your attitude or your general online like presence is I believe ultimately you do want the truth for the world. Maybe you don't care if they get it, but you seem to bring it. And I like that a lot because I'm all about truth, like all of it. I just want the truth. Don't care what the truth is. So how is the truth or the pursuit of the truth affected your life, and do you care if the masses get it, or are you just interested in it for yourself?
Well, I have learned I really want everyone to like ideally,
Yeah.
but sometimes I get hardened. My heart gets hard. Like I have a good heart, but at the same time I'm like y'all need to figure it out for yourself. Like I understand why Hermeticism became the way it is. It totally makes sense to me. It just like people don't really understand unless they get initiated through something, and usually it's some sort of like trauma.
90% of the time, trauma is what awakens us.
They like everybody's like, hey, it's not like a fun. They're like, oh God, am I gonna die?
Yeah, literally, it's literally like that.
That's why like doing like DMT and stuff like that was really like influential to me. You know, I did it around like 2010. I think I tried it out and I blasted off, and it really like it shook me a lot. It made me change up. I was like, you know, I went to hell on one trip, and I was like, I don't want anyone to go there.
Good. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
And that's what I was like, no, like, I've always, but at the same time, I'm like, no, I don't want anyone to go to hell. But it took me it took me a while to change, you know, to learn how to embody what I'm going through. And a lot of like darkness and fear around my music and things that I've just suppressed for fucking years with drugs, basically.
Same.
Not like real like Xanax, like doing drinking and Xanax, basically.
Whatever you have to do to make sure you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everything at one, all at one point, you're like, I just want to try it all because it's fun. And you're like, it's not really.
It's fun for a while, but you have to remember to stop.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard, but it's hard. That's the problem. Is it's too fun and you can't stop, and that's why it's like once you get going, you can't really, you can't stop. And that's why people get carried away. I mean, it's easy to,
Really easy to enjoy the escape.
Yes, exactly. But at the same time, I don't like promoting those things. Like I made a lot of music during that time that was really fixated on like drug culture and things like that is essentially what is going on now, like it's still very much the same kind of like message. It's just packaged, and it's not even really packaged sounding much different. It's a little different. They use a little different kind of stuff, but tempo wise, like everyone uses the same drums. It's all kind of the same cadence, and everybody took stuff from the Dirty South. That's where everything came from. And that's where I got a lot of influence after moving from California. I lived in Texas, and I just got around a lot of real rappers that were in the streets, that went to prison. Like it was like education for me to learn how to rap on beat, because before I would just be like doing art rapping. I just didn't understand it because I just never was around it. And then I got around people that just knew how to rap. They knew how to sing and rap and do everything easily. And then I was making beats for them. So they were like,
fabulous.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I made a lot of really good music in Dallas with people that is still online that I listen to, and I like cry kind of because it's like so good. I'm like, God damn, like why did I put this? Why did I put it out? But at the same, we did, but we didn't know how.
Right. Streaming services weren't the same back then, and it was still promotion's a whole nother world.
It was hard as fuck. Like we had Facebook, like that's what my friends would use was Facebook, and the stuff's on YouTube. Like some of the tracks are on YouTube, like, but my friends are, like the people I work with, like one of them died like a couple years ago on fentanyl, and the other guy is in prison, and I don't know. It's like, so you guys, I love them. And they're
over embracing the escape.
It's like you can't wait around. And you can't find new people like that because that chemistry doesn't evolve like that naturally.
But at least it was an exceptional experience.
Of course, that's why I say I still carry that on, and that's why I can make this music. Like the little Dean sound is like kind of a continuation of that sound that I like put away. And then when I went to Divine Liar Consciousness, I focused on more of an underground, like lo-fi, experimental dance sound, because that's what I was doing in San Diego, was a lot of like the beat culture kind of sound, which was just a blend of every kind of sound. It was a blend of all the genres that they were doing in LA, and it was kind of happening in, I don't know fucking who all the people are, but it's there's guys in LA that like Flying Lotus's crew, like those guys. They were all coming out of, and they were making this hip hop that evolved from lo-fi, and then it was like dance music, and it was mixtures of like jungle. It was like all this blends, and that's what it was in San Diego, and that's what I was doing there. And I was starting to learn about 432 and frequencies and all that stuff, and getting into crystals and like,
he also has an amazing page that sells incredible crystals. We're gonna link that in the bottom too.
Yeah, I do. That's like that's what I kind of like moved into a lot. That's why I moved to Colorado, was to get into like mining and learn it. And it's really hard as fuck. Like it's hard music. Like I love minerals and crystals and minerals, and selling is great. Yeah, I just love music, and I want to focus on it and put out more and do more with it, because I'm like, I know that the opportunity is there. Like I have the foundation to just do it. So instead of just being like, I'm scared, and then
never. jump in and fail 1,000 times is my motto. I would rather.
Already, I failed silently so much.
No, fail loud. Fail loud as hell. Somebody's gonna hear you. Look,
That's
I
why
heard you.
And it was like I hate everyone because it's like all my years of failure of never asking people for help or having like releasing album after album and having just never getting anyone really to care, and you're like your friends don't care, you're like working on this shit and no one
putting
fucking
your whole soul into it.
They're just seeing you and they're like they just want to buy weed off.
Oh no, dude!
That's been that's like the life story of me. It's like, okay,
they'll make anybody think fuck the world.
I just keep on doing that, and I realized that I got to the point where I don't say anything to anyone, so no one fucking knows that I am like upset about it. Then I'm like, how do I get people to understand? And I've had a lot of like good feedback from it. Like you give me a lot of like positive, like, okay, it's all right, and like other people have told me, don't just, it's okay to express yourself like this. A lot of people feel like this in the art world.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard, especially with social media.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've gotten out of the point where I don't really like to be on there as much, especially after, I don't know, just not after anything, but just being like doing light language and doing all that stuff. I just don't like going on there and just talking. And my account is constantly being like banned from live. So I can't really even do what I used to do on my Divine. And that's why I made another page, and that page just gets blocked. And so that's why I've changed my approach with like my new page. I'm just like, I'm doing minimal content, and the engagement for producing and being like a musician is so low compared. Like that's why I was so.
Oh yeah. I get that.
It's very low engagement from other people. It's mainly all producers and other musicians that engage you on social media. It's not like when I did the Divine Lyre and Consciousness page and was doing light language, I was getting engagement because of the light language and all these people were following me. And I was like, okay, I can. And the Lions were telling me to make these projects. Like the first project I made, I fasted for like a week straight.
Whoa.
And I did the project in 7 days. It's called the fire ceremony. Cool. And it's all light language. It's all chakras. And I was like having a nervous breakdown because I was like, oh, I can't handle this. And I was fighting with everyone, just like putting myself on these crazy pressures. And then, then I go through it and I'm like, okay. And I'm still like, my shadow's like telling me you're not giving me what you should be. You're not paying attention to me basically. And you're trying to, do stuff like that's why I was getting a lot of attention, and I just started to become fixated on women. Like a lot of women were always like trying to figure out about Lyra. It was like every morning I'd wake up to like a new woman, and I would be like, okay, and the Lyrans would get fucking, they were mad. Like they were like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Don't use this page to like do this with women. And that's what a lot of my like Lyran remembering is centered around is like with women. It's crazy all the stuff that I would remembered as like a Lyran, Irma, Lion. It's just, I would be like, it all made sense when I would have new women, and then there would be like these patterns of the same exact thing that would happen. And I'd be like, oh my. And I just was eating it up for a while, and I didn't understand how to release music. Like I was making it really seriously. Like when I made another project in 2022 called All Is Mind, The Universe Is Mental, which is another like really good one.
I like that one.
It's English, and it's kind of like dance. It kind of bridges a lot of genres and
mixed musical arts.
Yeah, mixed genre and that kind of thing. And it's like I didn't understand how people produce like. It's a single economy now. Like, so basically people do like singles, and then they build up to an album. So it was like I released an album, and then I tried to do the singles. So you don't trigger algorithmic play from Spotify, and it creates like this exponential waterfall effect when you do singles in a certain time frame. And I did it all backwards, and I just put all this work into it, and I researched how to
But you
do
figured
this.
it out.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I started to see traction on YouTube, and I was like, okay, like what is all, like how does this work? Like how does this all this stuff work, really? Um, and that's basically what you I don't know, that's what I did basically, how does it work and how can you engineer it to work for yourself a little better?
I know a lot of artists and even myself who would benefit from that kind of information. I just don't have the give a fuck to take the time to figure it out, but I respect that you did. You know what I mean? Like that's
I'm like, I have to. I'm like, I want to
Right.
be successful, and I see a lot of people around me that are good artists, and there's a blueprint to figuring out. Once you get the search engine to pick you up using YouTube and Google, because those are the two biggest search engines.
Yeah.
So once people use that, once you learn how to use the keywords to get people to search you in there, YouTube will start feeding people to your stuff. And I had like 4 or 5 tracks that were getting thousands of views and a lot of likes and like just good engagement, and I didn't understand what was going on, and all it equated to me was Lyran. And within a couple of weeks of changing certain keywords on my page, even with like beats, like I started to see the new plays on old stuff that hasn't, and that kind of been spurring me. And that's why I'm like, I don't really know how to unroll the divine Lyran consciousness little Dean thing. And I kind of think that it's a little bit of a algorithmic disaster because of the content's a little different, but at the same time it's unique enough that you just have to, this is like anything, people find it. So if I just put in Lyran pop music, which is what the Lyrans were telling me to do, you
gotta listen to your guides.
They were like, that's how you hack the matrix. And
yeah.
If people don't like it, well, then it's obviously, but I've already noticed that with songs that I had on there that I didn't have Lyran in, and I just put it in Lyran. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what they told me to do. So that's the way. I mean, I don't know.
Starseeding is marketable.
Yeah, I mean, I like the spiritual community. Like, I like how people are. Like, I enjoy it. Like, I like the openness of the spiritual community. There are some like judgy kind of people.
Yeah, a lot of people wear their spirituality like a badge, like they're better than somebody else, but that's the entire opposite point of what we're doing.
Yeah, like that's very like trendy and kind of like ego-y.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I'm not really, it's all
They'll
good.
find their way to the right point.
I've been, into like, I've wanted to know about like aliens. I've been interested in them my whole life, and I didn't really even know about the Lyrans until 2020. Like, I was really associated with, like, I would always think about Sirius. That's who I thought. I was a Sirius Starseed, and like I made a project called Two Dog Star, and then I started doing like a lot of breath work and meditation.
I wanted to talk about your breath work too, eventually.
And that was like, that kind of was during 2020, during COVID. I took this like class, and it was like for your chakras, and it had ecstatic breath work and meditation and all this stuff. And I was really stressed out, and I started doing that, and I was really like wanting to get guidance. Like, I wanted to connect with ETs. I was like, I know you're out there. I can feel you. Like, I was watching all the, I've just been into it for so long.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does this work? Like, what do I do? And so I started to just like do that breath work and meditation every day in the morning. But it would be like, I started to get a lot more energy. I was like fucking taking naps and doing weird shit like at 3:00 after I get off work. And I was just being really tired. And I started to just get all this extra energy, and I would be up like later at night, and I just started to feel, I would like just have these conversations with myself more so than normal. I'd be like, is this how I'm going to have my guidance? And then I would just ask myself, and I would get this like feeling like, yes, I would just like, it was before I really knew I was like clear cognizant and clear sentient, but I feel crystals. Like I've always felt energy and all that. I've been really into that. And I would get vision, like kind of some clairvoyance when I close my eyes and certain like energy things, but I wasn't really aware of it to as degree as I am now since I've been practicing for like 4 years every day.
Right.
With Guy and with actually accomplishing what I wanted to do finally, which was connect with this. And that was one of the most like primal original incarnations for me that I tapped into. And I didn't really even know. I was just staying up and I fasted. I was like, I'm gonna fast. I fasted again before. Like I never fasted. I had not smoked in like 20 years. Like I straight smoked 20 years straight every day, weed and everything. I stopped. I was like, I'm just gonna stop. And I stopped and I waited until like the 6th day, and then I got that feeling and should I meditate like at night? And I was like, I never meditate at night. And I was like, okay. And so I looked on something. I went on YouTube and I said like I put serious lion meditation. That's what I typed into YouTube, and I was like, what? That's what it was on December 20th that I did this because it was right before 12/21, and I just knew that I had built up this perfect energy, and I saw this thing that popped up that said Lyran, and I was like, what the fuck is Lyrans? And then I just went and did this like Lyran meditation, and it was so fucking crazy. Like I don't even know. Like I said, I've done DMT, I've gone all over and done everything, but nothing would really compare to like how powerful this like experience was doing this meditation, where it basically the meditation disappeared. Like it was all the stuff like it wasn't even there anymore. I couldn't hear any of it. I just was interacting directly with like the soul bridge to like Lyra and Avion, and like mainly what I connected to was my mother, like my Lyran mom, who was like a pure Elohim. Like she was killed, and I hadn't seen her for a really long time or connected with her and she sent me away after the war, and I got all this downloaded into me like in that night, and I didn't know any of it, and I was like, it was super overwhelming. I was just crying basically for like straight. Like I was like, fuck it, and I felt so like alone. And that's why I made the Divine Lyran Consciousness page, because I really wanted to like connect with people, because I was like, it was so powerful of an experience. And I did that, and then I was like wanting to do it every day.
Right.
And it became, and it's like when you do something, it's never as strong as the first time. And they told me like, we did this so you would know that it's real.
They had to confirm your belief, or your they had to give you
because it was like I couldn't move. Like when my 4 guardian angels came to me, like my arms, everything was just solid. Like I was just like locked. I couldn't move anything. And they took me into Lyra, and then I went up onto some like transport kind of, like a construct where they would project your consciousness into Lyra basically. And then that's when I interfaced with my mom in the temple, and she was just like golden, I was like, oh my God. And I could tell that I wasn't like everyone. When I was a Lyran, I was like different. I was a different type of Lyran. And that was something that I kept getting. Like I kept feeling like I didn't belong there either. Like I was really like I felt like I was shuttled around. That's like the feeling I got. Like I was just constantly going to other star systems to seed. to basically seduce to secede our colonies, which is what we did. We went all around and seeded everywhere. And that's
The
how
metaphoric astrological like implications are there.
in the literal terms, that's what we were doing. A lot of times it was just going and like seducing women and leaving like children there, and then going to another colony and all those memories were pouring back into me, and I was like, what the fuck kind of shit? I was like, what am I getting into? Like, how do I even know all this? Like, why am I remembering this?
It's a beautiful, beautiful experience, though, when you have something like that happen.
Oh, it's really powerful, and like I would want to talk about it a lot, and I shared it with my family, like my dad and stepmom, a lot when it was first happening. Like every day, I was just like, "Oh, this is so fucking crazy." I know I sounded fucking crazy as fuck by what I was describing, but to me and what I've experienced, I'm like, you cannot. Once you start to feel this stuff, that's when you're like, yeah. And I made messages like recently, like about discernment and extraterrestrials. Like they didn't even want me to talk about extraterrestrials because of karma and people's discernment, because when they hear certain things, they automatically they don't understand, and they're not going to learn the same way that I learned. So it creates this whole lesson of their karmas that I had to experience it for doing it to people. And that's why I was like, and so I wanted to have a place to integrate a lot of my experiences the past few years, because I just didn't know where to express them a lot of times. And that kind of started to make me frustrated a lot on things too, because I was just having crazy experiences every day and I couldn't talk about them. Really, I didn't have anyone to deal with. It just was like hard. And then like, that's why I say the lions were getting mad at me, because what I would do is I would just use what I knew how, like whenever women would come, I would just be able to talk to them.
I mean, that's what they were having you do, though. I mean, you're just trying to spread your seed.
I know, that's what, but I'm like, fuck. And then I realized a lot of the, like, I don't know, like I mean, I could tell now, but a lot of women that have come to me, like, those are just my daughters and shit from past lives.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's like,
is that why you want them to call you daddy?
I wasn't really into that at all until one of the very first person that I got into that was like a starseed, and she was really into daddy and all that stuff. And I honestly had no idea about it. But I was like, I ate it up, once I had a chance to learn about it, and was like, okay, I can see how this is fun. And, that's like that song Big Daddy, that track, that's like an electronic track that I made.
It'd have to be. That's the only way it could be. Electronic.
Yeah, I made that song last year when one lady was just like coming on to me, and then I basically just told her, like, send me your voice. Like, send me your voice, say this. Like, I sang the song like Big Daddy, and I had her say that, and I just recorded that into my microphone from my phone, and then just sampled that. And that's what I put on the track. And like, so I'd already kind of been doing this, like, doing other stuff besides just Divine Lyre Consciousness on Divine Lyre Consciousness. But everything I'm doing is in the tuning. And I don't like put anything, like I haven't put any subliminals yet or anything I don't try to program people or do anything. Like, all my intentions are super pure. That's why, like, for me, I'm like, I don't really care about it. I just want to have fun. Like, I just want to be successful for myself mainly at this point. And I know that I can be if I just try.
Yeah. I think if you stick with it, it's definitely going to happen. I also really, truly believe the world needs what you have to offer right now. And so
yes,
the only way we're going to get through it, and I believe that this is the run that we get through it. I think we're going to do it this time. World's going to be okay.
Yeah, no,
people like you are essential to that. If we can't, it's gonna happen. I feel like the tiles will start to fall, and it'll all connect.
Well, that's one thing like my guidance has been telling me a lot of, because like I'm really into conspiracy theories and I do follow everything about like,
All of it.
you know, what's going to happen and everything, you know, like, and I try to get all the data and I try to be, you know, and I use my guy, I try to cheat, you know, and
We all do a little bit of that.
yeah, I'm sure we all do. That's why we all like each other in the community. And people that I talk to, once they talk to me, they realize that I do have insight what I'm talking about, that I'm not trying to brag, and it only comes from source. So
Yeah.
I have to be humble. I've already been humbled over and over. I'm like, I just want to make money for my family.
Right.
My mom's still working. She's got a fucking, she's never, you know, like it's a whole, you know, like reality.
Yeah.
Those things I never thought about when I was a kid. I was just like, fuck everybody. You know, like,
But through that attitude, you build the skills to hopefully be able to accomplish this goal.
Oh, I've always wanted to make music that had messages. And, you know, I was really against commercial music, and I have plans. Like, I'm sure if this ever gets anywhere, I'm sure people will see it. But like, my plan isn't to just be like making kind of like urban or like, I don't know. I want to make more experimental pop music, but I like, and keep making hook music, but build in more concepts that'll draw people in, that will be what we need. Like, that's why I made it like simpler and kind of like, you know, rap urban style in pop, you know, like I want it to be consumable, like you said, but I don't want it to be so complex that people aren't into it.
Yeah.
That they're like, this is too weird.
Not everybody can fuck with an ELP or CD or whatever, or an LP or CD.
I love LP.
Of course, it's the most brilliant shit on the planet, but not everybody's ready to handle that.
And that's the thing, like when he got with like Big Mike?
Killer Mike.
Yeah. They Run the Jewels. Like they took that approach of like, let's make it sound
Pop-ish almost.
Yes,
and but then hit it with the messages that are gonna fuck people up.
And they use like tiny poppy sounding beats, but they kept it like LP style.
Yeah.
Like
but some of them are pretty complicated. Some of the beats for Run the Jewels are super complicated, but that's what I love about it.
Yeah, they're good. I like LP style. I used to listen to all his music. He was big influence.
That's one of the things that I realized about you commented on one of my posts, and it was an LP track, so that's when I realized you had good taste.
Like, hey, I know she likes LP. I was like, oh, you like LP? That's cool. I was like, I know, like a lot of people are, you know, he got more popular with that album, but some of his, I think it's like Sleep When You're Dead. That was like one of my, you know, big favorites that he did. That was kind of like, it bridged a lot of electronica and electronic sounds into like underground hip hop, but it was also really like cinematic in the way he like arranged it. And I've always remember that album for influencing me with like sequencing when I did a lot of stuff with even Divine Lyre and Consciousness. Like I tried to make that Fire Ceremony project like as extreme and unique and weird almost, and use all modular and all synths as I could, and make it like composed where it was like flowed together, and it was long, and it was just these big long songs that were arranged really neat, and they have just like this flow of breakdown, and the drums and come in and out, and like that's what I always liked about his stuff. Like he always switches up stuff, and he just always drops in good different synths lines and just unique stuff like that.
I just love, I don't know what it is. I think I like the chaos about his music. I also love Aesop Rock.
Oh yeah, me too.
Brilliant man.
Another one of like big one that I liked was like his EP. It was like Day to Night or something like that. It was like one of his earlier ones that he did, and
I am so against everything that's like good and popular in any way. I just found out who Outkast was, like that they were good a couple years ago, like 2 years ago. So
it's crazy that they are like so mainstream, but they are pretty like,
they're pretty
good
too. Yeah.
Like they're experimental.
Yeah, that's
They're
I found out about Killer Mike and LP before I found out about Outkast. So
yeah, that's what it's crazy that they're Atlanta, but they're on way before, like the trap sound and all that stuff. So they kind of just built that following and became just like iconic with their stuff, and even how they made two different sounds in Andre 3000's new project is pretty cool. Like
I liked it.
I like flute. A lot of my tracks I played flute in.
Oh, you play them yourself?
Yeah, like I have a flute. I have
Sick.
a flute over here that I play. Yeah, like I'll record that one. Like I play some instruments. I'll play the keyboards. I'll do. I'll play. It just depends on what my vibe is, kind of. Sometimes I just like to jam, and I'll put in certain things, or just depends really. But I still I try to make stuff usually with people's short attention spans. Like, I made Fire Ceremony like long. Like I made 7-minute tracks with that one. But these tracks of this new project they're like 3 minutes. They're shorter.
Good for singles.
Yeah, exactly. The singles. It's just introducing you to my music in a way that I think is fun. And I just wrote all the stuff here in my studio. I made it all here. I recorded everything. I engineer everything. I do all the mastering and everything myself. I mean, I love it. I made it all in like a month or two, and then I've just been mixing it down. And I write all this. I don't really write.
You made it in a month or two?
Yeah, I recorded everything like in 10 or 12 days.
That's insane.
Yeah, the whole project that you heard, I recorded basically in January.
That's insane.
I'm art like that's why I want to show people, because when I make all that music, I feel like I get high as fuck. Yeah. First of all, I'm like, holy shit! I have been sleeping in this studio with the music on for fucking like 3 months, and my bills are fucking piling up and shit because I've been living on savings, and I've been telling myself not to spend savings, and I want to buy. It's just stupid. And that's why I'm so
starving artist.
Is that? And I keep hearing that in my mind when I'm making this project, like starving artist over and over. And like my budget is very, it's tight for marketing. I'm basically getting out of a lot of debt that I accrued building my not doing it very responsibly, might I add, and basically buying Supreme fucking t-shirts and getting gold earrings and shit like that, but also a crystal business. But at the same time, like I kind of proved to myself that I could manifest very amazing things because I was in debt hundreds of thousands of dollars with last year, and I quit my job. I was like, fuck this job. I can't handle this job anymore. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, shit, fuck this shit. I had all these credit cards that were just maxed. They were basically to the point where they were, fucking just maxed out so much. And I was like, dude, this is what I was. I mean, I don't know if I should tell all this stuff because it's kind of crazy, but I was just doing crazy stuff with my credit cards. And I was getting so stressed because I was really stressed out from my job where I was working in a call center. And I just was really tired of the internal politics and dynamics of the work. And then I was having my ascension occur.
Right.
And I just was like, I can't.
That'll shock anybody out of being able to function in real life.
I did it for a year, and then I basically got to the point where just all this stuff was going on with systems, and they just never changed. And I worked there for 8 years. I was like, it's never going to change. Like, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to stop. Like, basically, I was like, I have to do this. And so I just was like, I'm going to focus on crystals. I'm going to go hard on crystals. That's what I told myself. I'm going to do that. And I just took all my fucking sick time before and was just like, I'm I can't handle. I just made up excuses at work and was like, I can't do this. And then when that happened, I just did all that, and I found something where I don't know how. I never fucking pay attention to any mail or anything, but I was like, I saw something, and it was just basically like some sort of debt something. I don't know. It's debt restoration is what it was. So it's like it's not really a. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it is really
because it's a real thing that people who make music struggle with.
Because honestly, because now within a year of all that credit, I had like lots of credit cards when I was in San Diego. Like I got my credit score up so fucking high, and I didn't really know how to use them.
Right.
But I knew that I should get a lot of them when I could, you know? So I just was applying for them, and then I came to Colorado, and I didn't have the same level of income because I started to work from inside my home. So like it was like money cut in half, a lot of stuff started to happen. So I started to live the same lifestyle I was living on my credit cards.
Right.
In investing, and just anyways, all that got out like to the point where debt restoration, where I had enough, I wasn't making enough money. They basically just took all the shit, they summed it into one thing, and then they act as they invoke your rights as a consumer, and they basically stop all the collections for you, and they wrote off like fucking so much debt for me. It's insane.
So that was a blessing.
Oh, it was insane. Like it was totally a blessing. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like I was kind of like, I'm tripping out, and that's when I started to just relax. And now this whole music thing has kind of been like, I've been paying these things off. Like I'm getting, instead of just letting it spiral out of control, it stops, and some things went to court and collections, and
I'll never see my state taxes.
Well, that's what, like, right.
As long as I live, I'll never see state taxes.
I was able to settle with those people too, and now, like, instead of paying all this fucking interest that I was just paying off, now it's all taken care of, and now it's stopped,
and which is giving you the room to take the time to make the music.
I was making it before. It's just that I was like, I don't know. I was just stressed out with debt. I was just like living the fucking, I'm up to debt in my eyeballs lifestyle, and it wasn't going anywhere. And that was one of the things that I just kept asking my guidance, like, how can I fucking do this? Like, and that was what I manifested. And I was like, okay, this works. And I've been so fucking hard on myself because I want to do it quickly. And then when music came, I was like, all the stresses of my life of music and traumas and fucking successes of nonsense just fucking, they start to arise. And instead of being like scared and being like, this isn't real, like no one actually, I just started to use that as content. I started to perform it as like almost self-deprecating self-hatred for a bit. Like and then I'm like how I am now. I'm like, this is me. It wasn't me doing that, because look at how I act on my phone, and it's like a part of me feels really like emotionally charged, but then I realize, okay, you're really growing. You don't really feel like that. You're just acting like this because you want attention, and that's what you're doing. And then when I talk, they're like, well, you're getting, you're evoking it, like you're doing it, and I made like a song, like a thing where I was like a drama, and I was like, I'm crying, and then I said like, shut the, and I sounded like a metal person. I sounded all like evil, like shut the fuck up, and I screamed, and that one got like thousands of views on Instagram.
It's because it's relatable.
And I was like, why is this? I was like, I don't even know what to do.
We're all fighting this crazy ass fucking war between screaming at ourselves and crying in our heads.
And we want to do better, and everyone's like, you're not trying hard enough. I'm doing the best I can.
I'm doing my best. I love that. It's real as fuck.
Exactly. And you don't tell anyone, so no one knows what you're really dealing with. They don't know how much you really care because you don't ever say it, and so you never. And that's when I started to realize, like, I don't really like sharing my music. I don't want to talk about it because like unless I feel comfortable, I just always feel like I don't know. It's hard to get. Once I get going, I like it, but in my head, I'm like I don't want to share about it. I don't want to explain myself to people, even though it's really easy for me to do it. But
I'm
part
an
of me,
artist and I'm sensitive
like
about my shit.
I don't know. Like I just feel like like I'm older now. I'm 39, so I'm like, okay, you're not super young anymore. You have a gray beard.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
okay.
getting old. It's fine.
Yeah, but I'm not. I don't feel like I
Same.
felt much worse.
84 was a good year, okay? It was a good year.
Yeah, and honestly, like I feel like just as young as I did when I was a
I
kid.
feel like a little kid, but my body definitely doesn't anymore.
I feel pretty good. I have.
I gotta start the breath work.
Yeah, breath work has been healing. Like, it's been overwhelmingly healing for me. It's unlocked, health and fitness. I wasn't really into that much before. Like I would do yoga, but it's kind of like got me into like a lot more strength training. And that was like something that I wasn't really doing a lot of. Like I lift weights now, and it's helped. Like I feel just a lot better from doing breath work. Just sets the tone. And when I was having a lot of these negative outbursts or feelings lately, like it's been really hard with all these flares coming.
Yeah.
I wake up and I feel fucking just so much energy that I want to start doing something right off the bat. But then I'll go online and then I'll just get irritated with what I see, and then I want progress to occur, and I'm like, it's not happening fast enough. And then I just have it. I'm like, fuck this shit.
I feel it right here. Why the fuck is it not down here?
Exactly. And I get all freaked out, and that's what happens. I mean, and that's why with breath work, when I do it, I set the tone and I do it, and I do ecstatic breath work, I feel so much better. It's how I was able to do light language for every, I would come up with what I was supposed to do. Instead of being like restricted by my fears and all the things that I was thinking about that I can't do, I would just do it. And I can still do that. It's just that I'm learning. I want to, like, I'm kind of hyper. I post a lot. I know on my fucking thing, I've got like 1,000 posts with like 400 people. Like I post all the time. I'm constantly posting. So I know that it comes off as chaotic as fuck to some people who don't.
I guess people who don't like chaos.
Yeah, sure. Like some people, the people that I have found that are real, like you and the people that follow my page that do give me good feedback. And there's a lot of people that more than I've ever had in my life of music now that actually engage me because of the Myron thing. And I was like, I don't like I'm Dean, I'm little Dean. But it's really,
they're one and the same. different presentation, but I mean, you're still one person.
I'm little Dean. I have fragments of like a fallen Nephilium too, which is kind of like an enemy of the Lyran. So I kind of am like embodying two fragments.
Oh. I respect and understand that completely.
I'm sure most like Indigo 3 people that are from 84 have like it was like an experiment to put two different people together.
Yeah. No, that's like so fucking valid, okay, right now. Keep on going. That's like
it's so hard to explain to people. Like I would love to just chat about this, but sometimes what people interpret all the time. Yeah. Like I could do this all day, every day, but it becomes a distraction for if you do it all the time. Like it's nice. And that like, if you're constantly being like, this is it, because it loses its magic. Like people have to
I think that we should try to make the banal sacred every day. That's what I try to do. I'll do tarot readings in the grass. I'll do them on the fucking counter at work. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to make every second of life the same. It's all sacred. Yeah, there's no difference. Let's do it every day, all day. But that's just me.
You know what it is? Like, it's just that I think like
I understand having the value of the sacred, but I just think the only path for me is to make it one.
Everything is sacred. It's just like making it into content. That's what I feel like.
Right.
All the time,
Yeah. I know, I get that. I guess trying to keep your content not overwhelming.
Oh, this like was a kind of one of the things that made me feel conflicted about like selling spirituality
Yo.
and trying to grow and be like, or like make up some sort of document about the history of things because I want to talk about it. And it's really fragmented and not as it is. That it doesn't matter. Like everybody filters through their perspective in this current reality.
Of course.
So a lot of like what people talk about comes from this perspective, but they're projecting it in the past. So a lot of what you're getting is just that person. And they're capitalizing on it like a what? It's like I asked about Daniel Scranton to my guides, and they're like, he has to make money. Like that was exactly what it said. Like, and I love messages. Like I typically, the messages that I would, if I was to look, and I don't usually look really much on social media, but like the ones that I would trust would be like older women, basically, like the ones that are, valid. Like, sometimes those are the ladies, those are the people that I feel have the most valid messages on social media. And they're really few and, they're interspersed between, and they're, because they have the experience. And that's...
If you get to the point you don't give a shit anymore, I think that your filter turns into something that makes more truth come out. You gotta not give a shit in order to speak the truth.
Yeah, I know. It's like you...
That's why I think the old ladies might be past the give a shit point. So they're just like, it doesn't matter what you think. We're just going to tell you what we got going.
They're like, it's too late. We don't have time to fucking make
I don't got time to pretty it up. I'm just going to be straight with you.
But that's why it is nice to just talk and make videos about these kind of things, because a lot of times you get lost in just putting out like a blurb create text message that you had in the moment, and a lot of emotion isn't really there, or kind of meaning or any of that stuff to it. So it's like you can say a lot more on video for sure, and convey a lot more message.
Like I've asked you a trillion questions in our message together, but this is what I wanted. I wanted to see really you and get the vibe. But I think you're kind of like, you have a mysterious-ishness where you don't like always put the whole thing out there. You just put little tiny bits of it out there, and then you like let people fill in the blanks. But like I want the whole story. I'm a Scorpio. I'm getting all of it. I must have all of it.
I'm glad to give it to you. I'm glad to share with you, and I appreciate the platform to talk. And
thank you so much for coming on here.
Yeah, for sure.
Very exciting for me. And that's probably a good place to end it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was nice chatting.
Lovely. And I know, well, at least you should know I'm not going to stop harassing you constantly. I still think we have a lot to learn from each other.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. It helps. It's good motivation to have people talk to me. I'm like, people are looking at me. Okay, I should just go into the forest and give up.
We're coming out of the forest in this lifetime. We're coming out of the forest. Yes, everybody go check out this single. It will be linked up here. And I will link all of Dean's information for social media in the bottom.
Awesome.
Peace out.
Later.
She a cosplay shorty, ooh, better work that body, yeah. She a cosplay baddie, yeah. She gon' show off for daddy.
You're okay, Mr. Bugs. Just relax. Just relax. Oh no, you want to sit on my lap? You can. You just gotta come up here a little bit. Come on.
Alright. Sweet. Okay, so what? Tell me when we're gonna start, or have we already started?
All right, we're gonna start.